While a family is vacationing on their boat in the middle of the Caribbean Sea, a woman named Julia jumps into the water for a swim. The moment she gets in, she feels something strange. She carefully looks around, but there's nothing there. She assumes it was just her imagination. But a few minutes later, she feels the exact same thing again. This time too, she can't see anything, but now she starts getting a really bad feeling. Without wasting another second, she begins swimming back toward the boat. Suddenly, it feels like the ocean itself is pulling her downward. Terrified, she starts screaming for help. But her daughter Cassie is listening to music with headphones on, so she can't hear anything. Meanwhile, Ben is busy fishing with his dad. Julia struggles desperately to stay above the surface, but water keeps getting into her mouth, making it hard for her to scream properly. After a while, Tom realizes he hasn't seen Julia for a long time. He searches the entire boat and then spots her in trouble out in the middle of the sea. He quickly calls the kids over, drives the boat toward her, and jumps into the water. He manages to pull Julia back onto the boat, and the kids help lift both of them aboard. Once they're safe, everyone tries to calm Julia down. However, she convinces herself that maybe the waves just caused her panic. That night, the family celebrates Ben's birthday together. When Cassie gets a call from her boyfriend, she takes her laptop outside to video chat with him. During the call, her boyfriend shows her that huge dark clouds are gathering over the city. Suddenly, the call glitches and freezes. Cassie goes to tell the family about it, but Tom says the signal is probably weak because they're so far from land. Just then, they hear a strange sound. When they step outside, they see a group of whales passing nearby. Tom explains that whales always follow the Earth's magnetic field, but storms can confuse them. Suddenly, the boat shakes violently. Worried that the yacht may have been damaged, Tom dives underwater to inspect it. A few moments later, he comes back up with a large wound on his shoulder. Julia quickly stitches the injury. Tom says that while he was underwater, he felt like some huge creature was behind him. But when he turned around to look, his shoulder got sliced open by the propeller. He says that whatever it was enormous. With the boat badly damaged, they realize they need to call for help. Julia keeps trying to contact someone over the radio, while Cassie searches for a phone signal, but nothing works. Suddenly, Cassie screams after spotting a strange creature. But it turns out to be Ben, wearing a mask and trying to scare everyone as a joke. A little later, the boat completely shuts down and becomes stranded in the middle of the ocean. Julia hears a voice coming through the radio, but the signal is so distorted that she can't understand anything. Tom tells the family that they only have enough food and water for 4 days, and now all they can do is wait for a fishing boat to pass by. Suddenly, something appears on the radar, and the family hears a strange noise. Everyone rushes outside and is shocked to see countless objects falling from the sky into the earth. Massive explosions erupt wherever they land. When one of the objects crashes into the ocean near them, Tom quickly tries to start the boat. The engine barely turns on, but then another object crashes dangerously close to them. Terrified, the family hugs each other tightly. That's when Tom realizes they aren't meteors, they're satellites.
At that moment, Ben notices smoke coming out of the boat. Tom checks the engine and confirms that it's completely destroyed. As the wind grows stronger, everyone hides inside the boat. None of them notice that the compass is spinning wildly. The boat begins rocking violently. Ben falls again and gets hurt. Huge waves slam into the boat over and over. Struggling against the storm, Tom manages to go outside and bring back life jackets. Suddenly, the power goes out. Tom presses the switch on the power box and the lights come back on. That's when Ben notices blood dripping from Julia's nose. Julia becomes dizzy and nearly collapses while Cassie runs to the sink and vomits. Tom keeps trying to find a signal on the radio. Suddenly, a loud, high-pitched screech echoes through the air, and the wind becomes even more violent. Julia tries to shut the door, but one of the hatches bursts open, and the pressure from the wind starts shattering the glass. Tom lights a flare, and moments later, darkness completely surrounds them. The next morning, when the family wakes up, they're shocked to realize they survived the storm, but the boat is half destroyed. When they step outside, they discover something impossible. The ocean water has completely vanished, and the boat is now stranded on flat ground. Everyone stares at the scene in total disbelief. Cassie checks for a signal again, but the entire network is down. Meanwhile, Ben starts playing with 2 dead crabs. Tom checks the compass and realizes it is flipped upside down. Apparently, the last time something like this happened was 700,000 years ago. Cassie begins thinking that her boyfriend might be dead, and she completely breaks down. When Julia tries to comfort her, Cassie pushes her away and hides. Meanwhile, Julia and Tom check the remaining food and drinking water supplies. Ben ties his birthday balloons to a rock so that rescuers might spot them from far away. Tom tries the radio again, and this time, he finally makes contact with someone. The man's name is Nao, the captain of a submarine that has also become stranded on dry land. Nao confirms that the Earth's magnetic poles have reversed. Because of that, the oceans have receded, exposing the seabed. He says that so far, he hasn't seen any other survivors, and all communication systems are completely down. He also explains that the poles will shift again eventually, and the ocean may return within a week. He warns the family to find shelter on high ground, because when the water comes back, it will be catastrophic. Nao reveals that his partner died in an accident, and there's only enough room in the submarine for 3 people. Julia and Tom beg him to at least save their children. Nao then gives them his location. After calculating the distance, Tom realizes it will take them 2 or 3 days to reach the submarine. He tells the family to rest for the night because they'll leave first thing in the morning. The next morning, while the family is packing their bags, Tom notices something moving nearby. It's a limping man carrying a harpoon, accompanied by a barking dog. Tom approaches him and offers him a bottle of water, but the man speaks in a language Tom cannot understand. After drinking the water, the stranger suddenly smashes the bottle against Tom's head and kicks him in the face. Hearing the commotion, Julia runs over in fear, but she's already too late. The man drives the harpoon straight into Tom's stomach. Tom struggles in agony for a few moments before dying. The stranger then starts chasing Julia and throws the harpoon at her, striking her in the shoulder. Fighting through the pain, Julia escapes into the boat and tells the kids to hide. She locks the door behind her. Cassie and Ben crawl inside the sofa to hide. Julia hands them a flare gun while she grabs a knife and hides in the bathroom. The man violently bangs on the door before finally breaking inside. First, he grabs some food and then starts searching through the boat. As he heads toward the bathroom, Julia cleverly slips out through a small opening and escapes outside. The man assumes she already fled, but just as he's about to leave, his dog spots Julia and starts barking loudly. When the dog lunges at her, Julia stabs it to death with the knife. Hearing the dog's cries, the man rushes outside. The moment he sees his dog's dead body, he explodes with rage. Meanwhile, Julia tries to sneak back into the boat from the other side. As she climbs through the window, the man reaches her and punches her hard, knocking her to the floor. He kicks her away and throws her onto the sofa, trying to strangle her. The kids watch everything in horror. At that moment, Cassie suddenly rushes out and fires the flare gun. The shot hits the man directly, setting him on fire. Flames quickly begin spreading throughout the boat. The children immediately run outside. Julia gets back up, kicks the burning man away, grabs the map and bags, and escapes with the kids. Ben and Cassie sit beside their father's body, crying uncontrollably. Julia joins them, and together they say their final goodbye to Tom. But then, the terrifying man suddenly emerges from the burning boat again, forcing the family to run once more. Moments later, the boat explodes. After walking for some time, they stop near a small spring to rest. Cassie thinks the crazy man may have found them because of the balloons. Hearing that, Ben begins blaming himself, but Julia reassures him that none of it was his fault. Later, near a small pond, Ben is shocked to see a dead hammerhead shark lying there. That's when Julia notices the man has somehow gotten close to them again. Everyone starts running, but they end up sliding down a sand dune into an area filled with explosives. The family carefully makes their way through it. As they continue walking, they see piles of dead sea creatures and mountains of plastic that had once been buried beneath the ocean. Ben starts slowing down, and Julia realizes he's becoming severely dehydrated. She checks their water bottle and discovers there's barely any water left. Cassie realizes she may not have sealed the bottle properly. Julia angrily yells at her, but Cassie fires back, saying it doesn't matter because they are all going to die anyway. The two begin arguing. A while later, they come across a crashed airplane. At first, the sound of birds inside scares them, but eventually they decide to spend the night there. They share some snacks together. While searching through Tom's jacket, Julia finds a family photo, and seeing it completely breaks her heart. When Cassie asks how she and Tom fell in love, Julia smiles and says that Tom was once her patient at the hospital. Later that night, Cassie steps outside the airplane, and the terrifying man suddenly tries to grab her. But Julia attacks him from behind and repeatedly stabs him with the knife, finally killing him. Cassie rushes over and calms her mother down. The next morning, they discover the man's corpse is already covered in insects, with strange bite marks all over his body. They realize there must be some dangerous creature living in the area. As soon as they leave, countless crabs begin crawling out of the dead man's mouth. Several hours later, Julia and Cassie stop to study the map, but Ben wanders off alone and tries to drink water from a pond. Julia quickly pulls him away, warning him that the water could make him sick. As the heat grows more intense, they use pieces of cloth over their heads like umbrellas. Ben starts feeling dizzy. They eventually find some old chairs and use them to build a temporary shelter for the night. The next morning, Julia wakes up after hearing a strange noise. She looks outside and sees a massive swarm of giant crabs rushing toward them. She quickly grabs the kids and they start running. While fleeing, they spot a huge cargo ship. Inside, 3 crew members are still alive. One woman wants to help them, but the other 2 refuse and shut the container door. As the crabs get closer, Julia lifts the kids onto the top of the container. While climbing up herself, the crabs bite into her leg. The children pull her to safety. Soon, the crabs begin crawling through a hole in the container. The crew members inside start firing guns, but in the end, the crabs kill them all. Julia wraps a bandage around her wound and then loses consciousness. Sometime later, she wakes up alone in the middle of a sandstorm. Panicked, she starts screaming for the children. Cassie and Ben eventually return and explain that they had gone searching for help, but found nothing. After the storm passes, they discover several bottles of water, a radio, and a gun inside the container. Julia contacts Now over the radio. Now explains that they were attacked by arthropods that have gone mad because of the oxygen levels. He also warns them that the ocean will return much sooner than expected, meaning they only have a few hours left. Now fires a flare to show his location, and the family immediately heads toward it. Eventually, they finally spot the submarine. However, to reach it, they must cross a dangerous rocky path. As they move across, a landslide suddenly begins. Julia pushes the kids out of the way, but ends up trapped herself. She tells them to continue without her. At first, Cassie refuses to leave, but Julia promises that she'll find them later. Reluctantly, Cassie takes Ben and keeps moving. When they finally reach the submarine, they find Now lying outside covered in blood. He tells them that his time is almost over, and that the children can now take the submarine. Cassie immediately runs back to find her mother. Meanwhile, giant crabs surround Julia, forcing her to fire the gun repeatedly to keep them away. Just then, Cassie reaches down from above and helps Julia climb up despite her injured leg.
Together, they sprint toward the submarine. Ben is already standing above it, firing shots to hold the crabs back until they make it aboard. Nearby, the crabs begin devouring Now's lifeless body. Julia keeps firing until the children get safely inside. But once they're in, she realizes she has run out of bullets. She throws the empty gun at the crabs, climbs into the submarine, and locks the hatch from the inside. Through the window, they watch the crabs swarming outside. And then, suddenly, the ocean returns. Towering waves as high as mountains come crashing back across the land. Seeing this, the family quickly straps themselves into their seats and tightly holds each other's hands. The enormous waves violently slam the submarine from side to side. As everything shakes around her, memories of their entire journey flash before Julia's eyes, while Cassie suddenly throws up. Then they hear that mysterious sound once again, and moments later, they lose consciousness. When they finally wake up, they're overwhelmed with relief to discover that they're still alive. They exit the submarine and realize the waves have carried them into the ruins of a destroyed city, which means there is still hope for humanity to start over again. And with that, the movie comes to an end.